Hey guys, back another video. Today I will be showing off the update that I've been talking about for a week, I think, by this point. I've spent a lot of time trying to perfect the design for Sin's arms, and I think I have a decent design now. That's the reason you see all the stuff already in the timeline. I'm just going to go over that chunk by chunk. Okay, so... oh, too far. So I started with the sketches of the ball joint and socket, right? So here's the ball, here's the socket. I then moved on and revolved these and made them into a 3D shape. This hole came down way too far, so I moved it up and then I printed it. The design didn't work because there were no slits for the plastic to bend with, so I went and I designed those and incorporated them in. I printed it, but there was a major flaw with this. I printed so later, when I show you the centerpieces, I'll tell you about the problem. So here's the centerpiece that I made, right? So here's the big problem. I would print the socket facing down like this. So this part would be down, meaning that the layer lines would align with where the flap connected to the base of it, right? So the huge problem with that is that when I would go to connect this, these flaps would just pop off really easily. They would just snap. So what I ended up trying later was, instead of printing them socket down, I would print them ball down with supports. That way these were a little bit stronger, because what I noticed was that so pretend this whole thing isn't here, it's only this part. So I would print this part socket up, and that made it stronger somehow, I don't know. But this part would almost never snap. It's always the centerpiece, not the front. Anyways, I went and copied this over a couple times, and what I ended up doing at one point was, okay, so I added the holes for the strings to go through, right? What I did after I added that into all of them was I went and tried to design these little hooks to hold the springs on, right? That did not work, because when I went to print the thing, these would snap off way too easily, and these holes wouldn't be big enough. So, here's more of them. You got more hooks for the springs, but when I went to print that, they snapped off way too easily. So I ended up later down the line getting rid of them because of how utterly useless they were. So I dropped a support piece. So I later ended up scaling it down because it was way too freaking big. Removed all of the hooks, because why wouldn't I? They're useless. I removed all the hooks. All of them are gone. And what my dad suggested was putting pegs on here for the springs to go around, right? So if the springs went around the pegs, then they would get held in place. I also scaled it up a little bit. This didn't work at all because these pegs were way too short. So what I did later was I ended up scaling them up a little bit past this point. So now they're longer and they will hold the springs better. Don't worry about these. I don't know why they're red. They shouldn't be, but it's fine. The model still works. So I designed a bracket and screw holes, right? So I can secure this in. More bracket. And what I originally wanted to do was go on some website, I don't even know, and get springs custom made with my exact measurements. But thanks to my dad again, he convinced me to instead opt for printed springs that I designed by myself. That way, it would have, we would have to spend as little money as possible while also maintaining it being completely DIY. So, I designed my own springs, and for the bottom section, the springs have a 2 millimeter wire diameter with 4 coils, right? So those are the most sturdy out of the entire thing because those are the ones at the back. The back is where the thing is secured in, so it has to hold up the rest of the segments. So that has to be the most sturdy. The 2 middle sections have a 1.75 millimeter wire diameter with 5 coils, because they don't have to be as sturdy, but they still have to be sturdy enough to hold themselves up and the ones in front of them. And then the top section, or the front section, has a 1.5 millimeter wire diameter with 5 coils, and that's the least, that's the most flexible of any of the springs, because that doesn't have to be nearly as sturdy. So, and what I did was I ran fishing wire through the top, through the hole in the front, through all the springs and the holes, and out the bottom. So my goal is to motorize this so that when the motors wind up the string, it pulls down and bends the arm. If you don't know what that's called, it's called a continuum arm, spelled CONTINUUM. CONTINUUM. So, a little further, right, all the springs are made. I started designing screws for I started designing screws and screw holes and nuts to hold all of the stuff in place. That is about it. So I don't know what's wrong with this part. What I'm going to do is just to fix this. I just said to remove. There. So I'm just going to quickly split this by this, merge this and this together again, take all 3 of these pieces, create a copy, and move them further away. I'm going to use the align tool. Oh, nope. Bodies. Take this face, this face, and all the way around the model, this face, moving, I can only do one at a time. I forgot. So, 1, 2, and 3. Wait, switching. There. Now that all of those are on, I can merge these three. And now the whole problem is solved. I'm also going to turn off visibility. And that is the whole design. These springs are in kind of a weird place, but trust me, when I show off the actual arm in either the short or the community post, I don't know which one I'm going to show them in, you'll see them. Anyways, that's about it for this video. So be sure to go check out the YouTube short, linked in the description, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.